In a flashback, Yunho asks Mr. Jang about Namgin Chong. What kind of person is he? Mr. Jang replies, he's a great martial artist. His knowledge is vast, surpassing anyone else's. Though he doesn't stand out among other exceptional martial artists, it's because he left the Namgin family to wander freely. It's widely acknowledged among martial artists that he has achieved a higher level of proficiency, worthy of recognition as one of the 24 martial arts masters, alongside his younger brother, Namgin Jin, the former head of the alliance. Yunho responds, so he'd be a good teacher. Mr. Jang smiles. Of course. It's an honor for him to take you as his disciple. Yunho thinks, honor, humph, I faced hath got it proudly without yielding. It's an honor for that old man to have me as his disciple instead. Such a great him bowing down to that old man. I'd be a laughingstock to the yokai if this news reaches the yokai realm, but am I in a position to think about that right now? He then bows and addresses him as master, driven by the desire to surpass his current strength. 2 years later, in the snowy wild mountain range, the sound of clashing swords echoes. Yunho and his master spar fiercely, both utilizing Che in their attacks. They're evenly matched until Yunho's attack sends Mr. Namgin Chong reeling. Unfazed, Yunho continues, Master, you said you'd go all out first. His master, panting slightly, raises a hand. The defensive chest shield, look at my hand, you can't fight me now. It's because you've gotten older, Master, Yunho retorts. Exasperated, his master exclaims, how can you be so consistent with that nasty way of talking? My intention to teach you the technique has flown away. He throws a sword at Yunho, grumbling, this keeps bumping into my feet without meeting its owner. Yunho catches the sword, bumping into your feet. Can I give it back if I don't use it? Just throw it away, you punk. Yunho examines the sword, then swings it with newfound purpose. Witnessing his technique, his master realizes Yunho has reached the zenith. He can hold a stronger and more concentrated Che within the sword, surpassing the sword Che itself. Sword zenith, his master mutters in awe. It was only after my hair turned white that I achieved it. But for him, within only 2 years of holding a sword, Yunho effortlessly cuts through a large rock with the sword. Pretty good sword, he remarks. His master, a mix of pride and concern, says, Yunho, you've become incredibly strong. You've reached your zenith and learned the Namgin clan's finest swordsmanship, the boundless sky sword technique. You're strong enough to defeat elders of large factions with ease, yet you don't seem happy. Even a genius like you is unheard of. Yunho shakes his head. Master, I don't want to be strong in this manner. I don't want to be restricted to any techniques anymore. His master frowns. What do you mean by that? Yunho explains, Namgin swordsmanship is undeniably strong, which is why I'm getting stronger. But at some point, I felt it was restraining me from exerting my power properly. He demonstrates by imbuing his sword with his full Che, creating a massive hole in a tree. Then, with a shift of his sword, he blasts the entire tree away, the resulting energy blast leaving craters in the ground. Witnessing this display of power exceeding even his zenith level, his master is speechless. The swordsmanship you're creating is still incomplete, isn't it? He finally manages. Yunho nods. Yes. His master, despite his initial annoyance, offers his help. Perhaps with my vast knowledge gathered from wandering the world and studying martial arts beyond our borders, I can assist you. Yunho, humbled, replies, you would be humiliated if there's nothing you can help with, master. The strongest sword, heaven-shattering. Yunho followed his master towards the training grounds, the air thick with anticipation. The master spoke, his voice heavy with history. It is said the martial arts were the invention of Dharma, the enlightened monk. Alongside Zen master Jang Sambong, during the rise of the early heavenly demon, they perfected these techniques. Yunho's mind churned, Dharma, that infuriating monk. The one who, alongside the wretched Jang Sambong, had attacked him in a previous life. They fought, spouting nonsense about yin and yang. He remembered the girl he saved, the girl he promised to become. If you had lived in that era, his master continued, you would have clashed with them, pushing the boundaries of martial arts to new heights. Yunho scoffed, strength in history. That makes me laugh, master. A frown creased the master's face. What is so amusing, you rotten punk? Yunho masked his true feelings. Nothing, master. Strength is no laughing matter. You wielded the sword for power, yes, But somewhere along the way, the sword itself became your purpose, the master said, his voice low and serious. They stood facing each other, the air crackling with energy. If you cannot block this strike, his master warned, death or crippling are the only outcomes. And if you do survive, shame will follow me, the teacher who killed his own student. Are you ready? Yunho met his gaze, his eyes blazing with determination. Yes. His master channeled his che, the energy gathering within his blade. He lunged, unleashing a torrent of power in a devastating sword technique. Unfazed, Yunho mirrored the movement, his own che pulsing through him. In a single, breathtaking moment, he countered his master's attack, shattering the blade with an ear-splitting clang. Silence descended. The master stared, disbelief etched on his face. How many times did you cut it? 1,000, Yunho replied. The master shook his head in awe. An arrogant sword, but complete nonetheless. Yunho grinned. Yes, master, but it lacks a name. His master stroked his beard thoughtfully. Though grounded, the sword's arrogance pierces the very heavens, perhaps. The heaven-shattering sword. Does that sound too grand? Yunho smiled, nodding his agreement. 5 years later, Yunho stood before his master, the weight of the completed heaven-shattering sword, the strongest sword in history, heavy in his hand. He had returned home. His father greeted him, a hint of worrying in his voice. Yunho, good to see you. Go pick Somi up from school. Yunho raised an eyebrow. Isn't it Mr. Zhang's turn? The chamberlain has fallen ill, his father explained. Mr. Zhang's mother's condition worsened, and he requested you cover for him for a few days. Yunho sighed. Send some martial artists and a servant along. I need to train and eat, his father's voice hardened. Yunho, you are the strongest and most free man in Gyeonghuyang. Go when I tell you to. Yunho gritted his teeth, a flicker of frustration crossing his face. Yes, father. As he left, a strange feeling washed over him. When did he become so obedient? When did Somi become someone he cared for? Was this the real Hai Yunho? He arrived at the academy and waited outside for Somi. A luxurious carriage pulled up, blocking his view. An arrogant voice called out, "What are you looking at?" Yunho smirked, a dangerous glint in his eyes. He ignored the man's question, focusing instead on the carriage's emblem, a golden engraving of a chapter rising from a cloud pattern. Recognition dawned, a symbol of one of the most prestigious families in Gyeonghuyang. Whose carriage is this, again? Yunho asked, his voice dripping with sarcasm. The man, finally realizing who he was dealing with, Somi spotted her brother Yunho from afar and ran towards him, her excitement bubbling over. He came to pick me up, she exclaimed, jumping over Yunho in a joyous greeting. Yunho chuckled. Somi, you're 16 now. Must you still run like a little child? Somi's cheeks flushed. But I just like seeing you, she mumbled shyly, perhaps hinting at a deeper affection. Yunho, oblivious to her hidden feelings, simply smiled. He thought she looked remarkably like their late mother, and her recent weight loss accentuated her beauty. On our way back, let's stop by the market for some snacks, Somi suggested, grabbing his arm. Meanwhile, a nearby group of men were discussing the imposing figure entering the tea house. Do you know who that is? One man whispered, his eyes wide with recognition. That's Yunho, the young lord of Gyeonghuyang, his friend replied. Can't you tell by his aura? The scene shifted to the tea house, where Yunho and Somi found their father seated at a table. A somber mood hung in the air. What happened, father? Somi asked, her voice laced with concern. Their father revealed the news of Yunho's master's passing just 2 days prior. The revelation cast a shadow over their reunion, leaving both Yunho and Somi contemplative. As they rode in a carriage, Yunho reminisced about his final moments with his master. His master had expressed a desire for Yunho to live a normal life, a sentiment that echoed in Yunho's own heart. Their journey eventually led them to the Namgying family estate, where they were greeted by a throng of men, the protectors of Gyeonghuyang. The Namgying clan leader approached, his demeanor suggesting a hint of trepidation towards Yunho's father's wealth and power. Introductions were made, and Somi politely bowed to the leader. The leader acknowledged Yunho, mentioning he had heard about Yunho's martial arts training under his uncle. Yunho downplayed his skills, claiming to have only learned a bit of the Namgying family's martial arts. This revelation sent shockwaves through the assembled Namgin clan members. How could an outsider be privy to their family's secret techniques? The leader, however, quelled the uproar before it could escalate, maintaining order and respect for their guests. As Yunho and his father entered the estate, then a small monk boy smelling something peculiar smell filled the air, the unmistakable scent of the yokai. The story takes an unexpected turn, hinting at a potential supernatural presence lurking in the shadows.
Hey, everyone, I have some exciting news. My birthday is coming up soon, and I'd love to reach 1,000 subscribers on my channel. It's almost at 600 subscribers, and reaching 1,000 would be a fantastic birthday gift. I'd be thrilled if you could subscribe and help me reach this goal. It would make me really happy.